Back in 1999, a small Osaka-based developer known as Yuke's Future Media Creators, Yuke's for short, released an original fighting game for the PlayStation 1. The game would offer an experience drastically different from other popular fighting games at the time. That game was called Eretz Vaju, aka Evil Zone. Now, the basic plot for Evil Zone is pretty standard for fighting games, but it does bring a few original ideas to the table to help it stand out amongst its peers. Instead of me explaining it though, I'm just going to go ahead and let the intro narration take care of that.
Ihadoka is a being capable of existing in multiple dimensions at one time, and she threatens the world of Ipreseru, Happy Island. Though the cost was heavy, the inhabitants of Ipreseru were able to temporarily confine Ihadoka in Evil Zone. But the danger is not over. Ihadoka must be destroyed before she emerges from Evil Zone. To do this, Ipreseru called upon mighty warriors from other worlds. A tournament is held to select the strongest warrior to face Ihadoka. These warriors have many reasons for wanting to fight Ihadoka, but right now, they are warriors. Let the battle begin.
So, there you have it. The plot is essentially one big excuse to bring a whole bunch of random characters together in order for them to knock the shit out of each other. Now, this could have been a problem if the characters were uninteresting or felt out of place, but for the most part, each one has enough drive and personality to them to make it work. Unfortunately, the English voice acting can be a little bit cringeworthy at times, but that's pretty typical of localised games in the 90s. It's only a minor gripe, and doesn't really get in the way of enjoying the story as a whole. The way the actual game plays out is fairly unique to Evil Zone. Each fight opens with spoken dialogue between your character and their opponent, letting you know about their drives, motivations, and if any potential history between them.
Dare to stop us? Then stop us! The power of a supreme ruler destroys evil! The ultimate hero, Danzaiba!
You are Tatsuna, I believe. You are after Ihadoka. But I can't lose now. I hope you don't think badly of me.
We can't be defeated either.
Players can choose from 10 unique characters to fight in several game modes, including Story Mode, Arcade Mode, Versus Mode, Practice Mode, and Survival Mode. But the Story Mode is by far the highlight of the game. It plays out episodically and is presented like an anime TV series, complete with a teaser trailer for the next episode after beating a stage. It's a great feature that works really well, mostly because many of the characters are fleshed out so well that they could probably have their own anime series. While I personally really enjoy the game, Evil Zone has a very unique combat system that some people seem to dislike. The main criticisms tend to be about the limited amount of buttons that are actually used, which are the D-pad, square button, and triangle button. The D-pad, as you'd expect, controls character movement, while the square button blocks attacks and the triangle button dishes them out. However, the controls aren't quite that simple. By pressing the D-pad in one of 4 directions, along with the triangle button, you can execute different attacks, and by double tapping triangle, you'll execute a more powerful variation of that move. It's also possible to execute special moves by pressing down followed by the triangle button, which causes a red circle to appear around your foe. If your opponent fails to move out of the circle area, or fails to interrupt you during the attack, then your move will land, prompting a short real-time special attack or cinematic. These special moves can range from a flurry of slash attacks with a sword, to attacking your opponent through a tearing reality. My personal favourite though, has to be Danzaiba's orbital laser cannon. Each character also has a super move which can be activated by pressing backwards twice followed by the triangle button. This throws out a slow moving but blockable red and black diamond shaped energy blast. If the energy blast successfully hits your opponent, it activates your character's unique super move. These super moves cause the most damage but are difficult to land and can only be executed when you've saved up enough energy diamonds, which are obtained by powering up. Since the amount of time it takes to charge depends on your remaining life, the less life you have, the faster you're able to acquire your super move, meaning that players with less HP can still make a comeback. These energy diamonds can also be used to fire off extra damaging ordinary attacks by tapping a direction and holding down triangle, though the attacks that can be used for this vary between characters. If Evil Zone has one major flaw, it's that there are very few moves in the game. Due to the attacks being limited to just one button, the combat lacks much needed depth, and while there's still a fair amount of strategy involved in combat, it's far too easy to guess what your opponent will do next. It's a shame too because the combat system works really well. Having attacks mapped to just one or two more buttons would be enough to inject more strategy and variation into the combat, but as it stands, matches can become dull and repetitive with extended play. That's not to say Evil Zone is a bad game. Like I said earlier, I really enjoy it. The game makes up for its minor flaws with fluid gameplay and impressive graphics for the time. It's also one of the first fighting games I'm aware of to show physical changes on the character models as a result of suffering heavy damage. The game's unique combat system is easy to pick up but hard to master, meaning you can easily spend hours honing your skills in arcade mode or practice mode. And with most of the characters being well balanced, Versus mode is a great option if you're looking for some human competition. There's even a wealth of unlockables, such as extra costumes, character poses, and a sound test option that lets you change the voice of the announcer. The game also has an incredible soundtrack, produced by T's Music, most notable for the work on the Lords of Thunder series. And each character has their own theme song, which plays between episodes, and during a fight, the background music takes on the theme of your opponent, which is a very nice touch. Evil Zone was ahead of its time. Anime was only just starting to become popular outside of Japan, so many gamers at the time just weren't interested in the game's quirky anime style. It also didn't help that the game's combat system was so different from the accepted norm. But for me, Evil Zone will always remain as one of my favourite fighting games growing up, and one of the original PlayStation's most underrated titles. I've been Zero Crossing, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.